On August 15th, Variety published a statement by Ezra Miller in which he apologized for recent behavior and said he is now undergoing treatment. Or perhaps more accurately, Warner ensured a statement was released in which Ezra Miller was credited with saying all of that. Whether or not Ezra Miller himself had any hand in drafting this statement, or if he even agrees with it, is a matter on which we on the outside can only speculate. But with this statement now out there, Warner are in a better position to release the beleaguered The Flash, with Ezra Miller still in it. Meaning they won't have to take a $200 million loss on scrapping the movie, or sinking another $100 million into reshooting it without Ezra. But it also means they are doubling down on him. What then if Ezra doesn't get better? What if, leading up to the movie's release, Ezra spirals further out of control? What would that do to The Flash, let alone the DC brand? In this video, we will be exploring the statement credited to Ezra Miller, what it means for his future as The Flash, and how there reportedly still are doubts within Warner about what to do here. The statement, published by way of Variety, reads, "Having recently gone through a time of intense crisis, I now understand that I am suffering complex mental health issues and have begun ongoing treatment. I want to apologize to everyone that I have alarmed and upset with my past behavior. I am committed to doing the necessary work to get back to a healthy, safe, and productive stage in my life." Variety then proceeded to emphasize that Ezra is non-binary and goes by they-them pronouns, and that his role as the Flash has been overshadowed by his off-screen antics. Before concluding with, and I quote, "A source close to the studio says that Warner Bros. Supports Miller's decision to seek professional help." This is code for that Warner doesn't merely support Miller's decision, but that they were instrumental in him making that decision in the first place. They probably talked some sense into him and his mother, advocating what a nice facility they had found for him, how much better he'll feel with therapy, and how awesome it's going to be not to get sued for an amount that it will take 10 more generations of Millers to repay. They'd even draft a nice statement for him to sign off on, or not. It got published in Variety either way. Clearly, the sum total was an offer too good for Mr. Miller to refuse. So, what does that mean for The Flash? In order to appreciate what might happen going forward, let's first take a step back. Rumors travel fast, but it takes time before they get sanctioned for an official release as news in the main industry trades like Variety, Deadline, and The Hollywood Reporter. Which is why on this matter, their reporting is 2 to 3 weeks, if not months, behind the reporting of, for instance, ourselves and Geekosity magazine. Hence, it was only on August 11th, 4 days prior to the statement credited to Ezra of him seeking help, but months after we reported them, that The Hollywood Reporter started listing the options that Warner were considering for The Flash. They reported that Warner were considering 3 scenarios. The first was, and I quote, "Warner has received indications that the 29-year-old Miller, whose mother has accompanied the actor in recent days, will seek professional help after returning home to his farm in Vermont after being away. If that happens, Miller, who goes by they-them pronouns, could give an interview at some point explaining his erratic behavior over the past few years. The actor could then do limited press for The Flash, and the movie would open in cinemas as planned. This is the option they were actively working towards behind the scenes, and with Miller now seemingly getting help, it would appear to be the option they now are going for. But let's go through the remaining options all the same. The second scenario, even if Miller doesn't reach out for help, i.e. doesn't accept the help that Warner offers, Warner's could still release the film, but don't expect Miller to play a prominent role in terms of marketing and publicity, nor would Miller be the Flash going forward, as the role would be recast in future projects. The third, the situation with Miller deteriorates further. This would see Warner's killing the movie outright. There might be contractual issues with third parties that make that option more difficult than what is presented here, but that aside, According to our very own Tom Connor sources, and these are sources who are quite familiar with the effects and production side of things, there very much so was a fourth option as well, namely to retool the movie and remove Ezra Miller from it. Contrary to one sentence given in an unofficial statement which has since been regurgitated in every later write-up for months, replacing Ezra Miller with another actor in the current movie can be done, even if Ezra plays multiple roles and is in nearly every scene. It would be the biggest actor replacement undertaking since replacing Eric Stoltz with Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future, and it would cost the same as completing the Snyder Cut. But considering how much was filmed on green screen and with the actors oftentimes not together even in principal photography, it could be done, and the option was very much so on the table. What is more, and the reason I bring all of these options up again, is that none of them are still completely off the table. While the official statement credited to Ezra Miller can be interpreted as an apology, and if he does toe the line, a full apology tour will no doubt follow shortly prior to the movie's release, but that may not be enough. On August 17th, CNBC published a piece titled "Flash Star Ezra Miller's Apology is Not a Get-Out-of-Jail-Free Card." In it, they contrast past actors who acted out but made major career recovery since, like Robert Downey Jr., to Ezra Miller. To this end, they quote Tony Feinberg of Edendale Strategies as saying, "The apology is not a silver bullet. It's really important for everyone to remember that this isn't just about stealing a couple of bottles of booze or a bar fight. There are some really serious sexually based allegations about Ezra Miller. Anytime you hear words like grooming or breathtaking or suggestions of impropriety with minors, the stakes are incredibly, incredibly high." Feinberg said he suspects the statement from Miller was made partially because the actor came to terms with some of his challenges, and partially, as in mostly, because of pressure from the studio following his felony charge. "It is not a get-out-of-jail-free card," he said. Paul Hardart, director of the Entertainment, Media and Technology program at NYU Stern School of Business, said the initial reports about Miller likely wouldn't have impeded box office success significantly. However, with Miller's apology, Warner Bros. Can adapt its strategy. "There's a redemption story," he said, noting that the studio has until June to figure out how to best market the film and time to see how Miller's legal and personal battles unfold. And I think from Warner Bros.' standpoint, they've clearly said, "This movie is of value to us," he said. They could write it off. They have the benefit of the purchase accounting moment. They could write it off and are choosing not to. However, other reports suggest there is disagreement within Warner about this. On August 17th, Bounding Into Comics published the story "Rumor: Warner Bros. Discovery Board wants to go over CEO DavidZaslav and shelve The Flash due to Ezra Miller's erratic behavior." The source for this story is an August 11th tweet from Undercover Audience, which for what it's worth is followed by both blue checkmark directors as well as a number of journalists working for the industry trades. This tweet read, "Apparently Zaslav got outvoted on Tuesday with regards to the Ezra situation. Majority of the Warner Discovery Board wanted to indefinitely shelve The Flash, but Zaslav was against it. So he called in another meeting today, and sounds like there's a shouting match happening at Warner. This is consistent with our video from August 4th, in which we reported that Zaslav had been advised to cut his losses and scrap The Flash, but it was up to him what to do with that advice. It would appear that he did not take it, and in light of Miller's statement, it would also appear that he must have gotten the majority of the board to agree with him that with a repenting and apologizing Miller, releasing the movie is the way to go. But what if Miller doesn't keep his nose clean? The movie is 3/4 of a year away, and that is plenty of time and opportunity for Miller to fall off the proverbial wagon. What if he goes back to his culty ways? Well, then I would surmise that all bets are off, so it would certainly be in Warner and Zaslav's best interest that Miller stay out of trouble. So let's assume that he does. Let's assume for the moment that Miller does stay out of trouble, goes on an apology tour prior to the release, they spin it as a redemption story, and the movie is a hit and all works out. Then what? What does Zaslav have planned for the future of DC on film beyond The Flash? Because with Batgirl scrapped and Supergirl cancelled before production begun, the future is a blank slate. What will Zaslav fill it with? A restored Snyderverse? More Robert Pattinson? Something else entirely? We shall see in the next video. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe and indicate you want notifications on all videos so you don't miss out. With that, let me know your thoughts on Ezra's apology in the comments.